Hello everyone. I have updated the course website, and including the results of assignment 3 and the results of assignment 4, and you can take a look at the result files. If the accuracy of your assignment is not 100, then this means your program has some bug, and you can. My advice is that you can test all the input-output samples. The template. I show how to test the assignment 4. I will use the code template as an example. And now suppose I want to test the first example, and the first example has 7 students. Then I copy the scores. And first I type 7, then I press enter. And for better alignment, you can type and enter here, then paste the previous copied content. Then you press enter, and you can see the results of your program here. And because this is directly copied from the code template, so the output are not correct. And today, assignment 5 is announced. And I will explain assignment 5 in the next after we finish the string chapter. I will explain assignment 5. And in the previous lecture, we learned how to use the C string. And we also introduce how to use the C++ string. There are 2 ways to initialize a C++ string. We can use the assignment operator, or we can use the constructor. In the later chapter, we will introduce what is a constructor, and we can directly assign a C string to a C++ string. On the right hand side is a C string because it is a double quote. It is a double quote string. So on the right hand side is a C string, and we can use the assignment operator to assign a C string to a C++ string. And for the string concatenation, we can use the plus equal operator. And this is very convenient compared to the C string. For C string, if you want to perform string concatenation, you need to use strcat. But for the C++ string, you only need to use the plus equal operator. So C++ string is more convenient than the C string. And we can use a simple example to illustrate how to perform concatenation. In this example, I declare S1. S1 is a C++ string, and its initial value is a C string, ABC. And S2 is also a C++ string, and its initial value is a C string, DEF. Then I perform S1 plus S2, and this operation is string concatenation. So the result is ABC DEF. Then this is a C++ string. Then the C++ string is will be assigned to S3. So when I print the value of S3, we will see ABC DEF. For this example, we cannot directly use the C string. We cannot use the plus for string concatenation for two C string. This is syntax error because the C string does not support the plus operator, so we cannot write we cannot perform addition for two C strings, but you can perform addition for one C++ string and one C string. Oh, this is legal. So if I change the first input, if I change the C string from ABC to S1, then the syntax is legal. And let's see another example. Suppose we want to perform multiple string concatenation. Let's see this example. Suppose we want to perform two concatenation, and this expression is legal or illegal. For this assignment, this expression is legal or illegal. Please raise your hand if you think this statement is legal. And raise your hand if you think this statement is illegal. Oh, okay. The answer is this statement is legal. This statement is legal, and let's see why this statement. If I remove S1, this statement is illegal because the plus operator, because C string does not support the plus operator. But if I add a C string, in this statement, we have two plus operator. So we need to decide which operator will be carried out first. And according to the precedence rule, the left operator will be carried out first. So this plus will be carried out first. And this means S1 plus the double quote ABC will be carried out first. And this is legal because we can perform a C++ string. We can perform plus for a C++ string and a C string. So the first addition is legal. And this is equivalent to we add a parenthesis around this operation. And the value yield by this operation is a C++ string. The value yield by this parenthesis is a C++ string. And it is legal to perform addition for a C++ string and a C string. So this statement is legal. But if you change the order, for example, if you change the order, if you perform addition for two C strings, then this statement is illegal because the first addition will be carried out first, and the C string does not support the plus operator. So when you want to use the plus operator or the plus equal iterator, you need to make sure that at least one of the input is a C++ string. Next are functions related to the string data type. We can use length to obtain the length of a string. The length does not include the null character. For this example, the initial value of the C++ string name is Mary, and the length of name is 4 because this C string has 4 characters, so the length of name is 4. And we can also use size to obtain the length of a string. The two functions return the same value. And we can use the at function to access the element of a string. And this is like the use of the bracket syntax. So we can use the bracket to access the element of an array. We can also use the at function to access elements of an array. And the difference between the use of the bracket and the at function is that if the index is outside the legal range, the bracket will show no warning. While if you use the at function, this function will terminate immediately if the index is outside legal range. For this example, name is the length is 4. The length is 4, but if we want to access the index at 6, then the index is outside the legal range. And if we use at, then your program will terminate immediately. For example, I want to assign a character T. I want to assign a character T to the element at the index 3. And the index is outside the legal range because S1, the length S1 is 3. So if I run this program, then this program terminates immediately. And the program will throw an exception to show out of range. But if you use the bracket, and this time the program does not terminate, and there is no warning message. So even though there is some bug, but you will not notify. You will not notify. There is a problem. So it is better to use the at function than the bracket, because the at function can make sure that the index is inside the legal range. In this slide, introduce common operations about string, including find. Find is to return the index of str1, and rfind means reverse find. And reverse find means you search the string from the end of the string. And sub str means to return the substring of C++ string. And we will not introduce the three functions due to time insufficiency. So if you are interested, you can take a look how to use the three functions. And next, I will introduce how to convert between C string and C++ string. It is legal to convert from C string to C++ string. For example, if we declare a C string, and the next we declare a C++ string, and we can assign C string to the C++ string. This is legal. But the reverse is illegal. We cannot assign a C++ string to a C string. This is illegal. This assignment is like downgrade, because from C++ to C is downgrade, while this assignment is like upgrade. You upgrade from C string to C++ string, and this is illegal. And if we really want to assign a C++ string to a C string, then we need to convert the C++ string to a C string first. And to convert C++ string to a C string, we can use the function C_str. This function will return a C string. So the C_str will return a C string. Then we can call the string copy function to copy the return string to a C string. So if we need to copy a C++ string to a C string, then first we need to convert the C++ string to a C string, and then use the strcpy function to copy one C string to another C string. The next slide is about the implementation, how to reverse an input string. And I will not go into the details. This example is from the textbook, so I will skip this example. And next, let's see how to convert between string and the numbers. Given a C++ string or a C string, we can convert string to numbers. For example, we can use the function stoi. Stoi means string to integer, and the input of this function is a C string or a C++ string, and the output of this function is an integer. And for this example, the input is a C string 3, 5. And this string means 35, integer 35. So the return value of stoi is 35. And the return value is an integer. The data type of I is int. So if we want to perform we want to perform addition to numbers, then we need to convert the string to a number. Next, the next function is stod. Stod means string to decimal or string to double. And the input is a C string or a C++ string, and the return value is a double. So for this example, the input is 2.5. This is a string, and the return value is 2.5, and the data type is double. So we declare the D variable to be double. And the next, the third function is toString. We can convert a number to a string. For example, D is 2. Suppose D is 2.5, and D is floating point, and the D times 2 is 5, 5.0. And suppose we want to convert 5.0 to string, to C string, or to C++ string, which is double quote 5.0. Then we can use the function we can use this function underscore string. You can do some practice to see how to use the stoi. Suppose I want to multiply 10 with 35, and we see that this multiply is illegal because we cannot multiply an integer with a string. A string is not an integer, so we cannot directly perform multiplication, and we need to convert the string we need to convert the string to a number. So we can call stoi. And the result is what we expect. The result is 350, because 10 times 35 is 350. And next, let's see how to implement the function stoi. Suppose we want to implement this function by ourselves. And IMPL means implementation. And suppose the input is a C++ string, and the output is an integer. This integer is the decimal value of the input string. And in this example, I suppose the input is a C string, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Suppose the input is a C string, and I want to obtain the integer value of this string. So the integer value of this string is this one, 56,789. And this number is in decimal. And let's see how to represent this number in decimal. In decimal means 5 is multiplied by 10 raised to the 4th. And here 4 is the length of the C string minus 1. The length of C string is 5, and the power and the 5 times 10 raised to the 4th power. So 4 is the length of the input string minus 1. And then we perform. Then we need to compute the integer value represented by 6. And the 6 is multiplied by 10 raised to the 3rd. And next we compute the value, the decimal value represented by 7. And this value is 7 times 10 raised to 2nd. And we can continue this process. And let's see how to convert this method to the C code. And first we declare a variable str value. And this value is the decimal value of the input string. So the data type of this variable is integer. And we also declare a variable string length, which is the length of the input string. And we also declare a variable, stream power. This variable is to denote the power, and the initial value of stream power is string length -1. And then we write a for loop to compute the stream value. Stream value is plus equal to the right hand side. The right hand side is 5 times 10 raised to 4th. So first we need to obtain the number 5. We need to obtain number 5, and to obtain number 5, we need to perform stri minus character 0. It is important to include the minus character 0, because if you don't include minus character 0, then the decimal value of stri it will not be 5. And we can perform an experiment. Now suppose we want to perform 5 times 10. But in this example, C1 is a character, and let's see what is the result. The result is not 50, the result is 530. And because character 5, the integer value of character 5 is not 5. If you look the ASCII chart and you find the decimal value of character 5, the decimal value of character 5 is Chinese. Oh, what happened? Chinese character is double byte, so Chinese character also has you mean if you want to see if the character is a Chinese character? Okay, if for example, if I change to this is Chinese because it is in four ways. It is not half ways. So this is a Chinese character. Let's see. So for this Chinese character, this means negative 100. Sorry. For this integer, we cannot use for Chinese character. We cannot use this as an integer. So for Chinese character, we cannot use this Chinese character as an integer. But for English character, we can use this character can be used as an integer. But character 5 means integer 57. If we want to convert the decimal value, convert if we want to obtain the decimal value of C1, we need to perform minus 0. We need to perform minus character 0. And because the decimal value of character 0 is 48, so if we perform 53 minus 48, then we obtain 5. So to obtain the decimal value of C1, then we need to subtract the character 0. And so to obtain the integer value 5, we need to perform the subtraction minus character 0. And then we multiply the 10 raised to raised to 4th. So we call the function power. This function is defined in the CMath library. And this function call will return 10 raised to 4th. And this is the first iteration, I equals 0. And after we compute str value, we decrease str power by 1. And then I is added by 1. So in the next iteration, I becomes 1. And I, when str1 is 6. And the str power becomes 3. And so this function will return 10 raised to 3rd. And we can continue this process to obtain the final string value. So the final string value will be 56,789. We have finished the introduction of the C++ string, and next we will introduce the third part, character and the string input/output. We already know how to use cin. For example, in your assignment, we use cin to read user inputs. And this slide is about the behavior of cin. When we use cin, the program does not read the input until the user press the return key. So this behavior allows us to use backspace to correct mistakes. Because before you press the return key, you have the chance to correct your input. And another property about cin is that cin will skip blanks and line breaks. So we cannot use cin to read space or read line breaks. Below is one example about how to use how to use cin, and this example is the input output with C string. I declare two C string A and B, and I use cin to read user inputs and save the user input in the C string A, and then save the second user input in C string B. Let's take a break for 10 minutes. Hello everyone, and let's continue our class. For this example, we can you can try to input strings. For example, I can type I did not press enter, so I still have chance to correct my input. So I can use backspace to correct my input. And then suppose my input is correct, then I press input. Then output, the next line is the output of this program. This program outputs fly me. Because when I input fly, when I input this line, then fly is saved to the A array, and the blank is skipped because cin will not read blank, so the blank is skipped, and then me is saved to the B array. So when I print the A array and the B array, the result will be fly me. And if we want to read the whole line, we can use the function getLine. This function allow us to read the whole line. So we can use getLine to read white space. For this example, I can start to input. And then I press enter. And after I press the enter, the program prints this line. Because this program outputs the value of the A array, and the value of the A array is fly space me space 2. So when I print A, the program outputs this string. So if we want to read white space, we need to use getLine. The next slide is the input-output with C++ string. In the previous slide, we use character array, and in this slide, we can use the C++ string, and the result is similar. The advantage of C++ string is that you don't need to specify the array size, while in the previous example, you need to specify array size. You need to specify the maximal size of the character array. But if we use the C++ string, the advantage is that you don't need to specify the string size. And the next, we will have a quiz. So you can use your mobile phone to log in the Ruvio. And raise your hand if you need a paper. You have 3 minutes to finish this question. Uh, 20 seconds left. And I will close this question. The next question, you also have 3 minutes. 20 seconds left. And I will close this question. Uh, 20 seconds left. I will close this question. So, and remember to write down your student ID and your name if you use paper. And please forward your paper to the first row. Forward your paper. And let's see the answer of the quiz. Thank you. The answer of the first question is option 3. And let's see this question. The initial value of array has 6 elements, and the next statement declare a variable VEC, and we use the constructor to copy the slice of the array to the VEC vector. So you need to determine what is the range of array plus 2 to array plus 6. So the range is the two inputs specify the range we want to copy. So we need to determine where is array plus 2. And the array plus 2 is from the element at index 2. So array plus 2 is from 5. If the first input is array, then you start from the first element. And if you start from array plus 1, then you start from the element at the index 1. And here we plus 2. Plus 2 means you start from the element at the index 2. So at the index 2, the element is 5. So we want to copy from this element. And the second input specify the range, and you can perform subtraction. 6 subtract minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. So we want to copy 4 elements. So we copy 4 elements, which is 5, 7, 9, and 11. So the initial value of vector is the initial values of VEC are 5, 7, 9, and 11. And the next for loop compute the sum of the VEC, of the elements in VEC. So the value of sum is 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11. So the answer is 32. For the second question, the answer is 3. The initial value of list is 5, 6, 7. And we want to insert 1. We want to insert 1. And we want to we want to insert 1, and we need to determine where to insert. And the location is list dot begin plus 2. So after the first input, the values in list are 5, 6, 1, 7. So after the first insert, the values in list are 5, 6, 1, 7. and then we execute the second insert statement, and we want to insert two -1. We want to insert two -1 to the location list data begins +3. So we will list data begin +3 is after the third element. So we will insert two -1 after the third element. So after the second insert, the values in list are 5, 6, 1, -1, -1, 7. So the answer of this question is 3. The third question is about size and the capacity of a vector. And the answer is the first option. First, we declare a vector score, and initially the score is empty because we do not initialize score. So score is empty, and then we call reserve. We reserve, and the input is 100, and this function will allocate 100 integer. This function reserve will allocate the memory space of 100 integers to the vector score. But reserve do not create elements, so the size of score is still 0, because reserve do not create instance. So the size of score is still 0, but the memory size of score is 100 integers. And then we use a for loop to push back elements to the vector. So this for loop has 50 iterations. So 50 elements will be pushed to the score vector. So the score will have 50 elements. So the size of score is 50. Because score has 50 elements, and the capacity of the score does not change. So because the number of elements is less than the number of elements is 50, which is less than 100. So the capacity will not be increased. So the capacity remains the same, and the capacity is 100. And therefore, the answer of this question is size is 50 and the capacity is 100. If you still have a question about size and the capacity function, you can refer to the slides. Next, let's return to the slides. The textbook lists one pitfall when we want to mix the use of cin and the getLine. We often use cin to read numbers and use getLine to read string. But if you mix the use of cin and getLine, there is one common mistake. And let's see this example. First we declare an integer number, and we also declare a C++ string line. And then we use cin to read user input and save the user input in number. And then we call the getLine function and save the user input in the variable line. And then we print the value of number and we print the value of line. And below are two different input. Console one is the for the first example. And you can copy the code and to run this program. And suppose I input 42 space and fly and me. This is my input, and then I press enter. After I press enter, the program will output the following values. So the number is 42, and line is space fly space me. So line is the characters after 42. So the line variable has six characters. So it has the line variable has 6 characters, space fly space me. And let's see another input example. Here I try another input example. For example, I input 42, and this time I directly press enter. If I press enter, this program finishes. If I press enter, this program finishes, and the program output the number is 42, and the line is empty, because when I press enter, getLine is terminates immediately. So line is empty, because after I input 42 enter, then getLine read enter, and line is empty, because the content of line is after 42, and because the content of line is the characters after 42 and before the enter. But in this example, after 42, I directly press enter, so line is empty, and therefore the size of line is 0. And this is not what we want, because we want after I press enter, I want to input strings and save the strings to the variable line. So the second example is not what we want. And the textbook provide a remedy. The remedy is to insert this line, cin ignore before the get line. And the cin.getLine will read and discard the entire rest of the line up to and including the line break. So we can, if we want to read numbers and the whole line, we can add cin.ignore. So I add one line. And this time I also enter 42 and then I press enter. And we know that when I press enter, the cin.ignore will read the enter, and then we go to the next line, get line. So the program does not terminate, and I can still input some strings. And then I enter fly space me, and then I press enter. And then the get line finishes. So get line finishes. And fly me will be saved to the line variable. So the size of line is 6 because fly space me. This string has 6 characters. So we can use ignore to consume the line break. And you can also try different inputs. For example, I press 42 and I try to input some noise. I want to input some noise, and then I press enter, and the noise will be will be consumed by this ignore statement. So the noise I input will not be saved in line, and the noise I input will be consumed by the ignore statement. Yes, after this space, the ignore will read ASAD until the line break. The ignore statement. 1000 means at most read at most 1000 characters. So here I can input at most 1000 noise characters. And then I can start to input a string. So I start to input a string fly me, and the fly me will be saved to the line variable. So after we print line, the size of the line string is 6. And next, we will introduce the input and the output of characters. We can use the get function to read one character. And one important property of the get function is that this function does not skip white space. So this function allows us to read a white space. And this function also can read a line break. So this function can also use to can be used to read the line break. And this is different to cin. Cin cannot read white space, and the cin cannot read line break. So if you want to read space or read line break, you can use get. But get can only read one character. So if you need to read many characters, you need to write a for loop, or you can use getLine. But getLine does not read line break. getLine can read white space, but getLine cannot read line break. So get function is for character input, and for character output we can use the put function, and we can use cout.put ch to output the character ch, and this is equivalent to use cout. So the put function is equivalent to use cout. So we rarely use put because we can use cout to replace put. So we rarely use put. Below introduce some functions about character input. The two functions are pick and putback, and I have a video. You can go to the reference web page. You can go to the first week. There is a reference web page. And we go to the streams item, go to this item, and you can find some CPP files. And there is one link which introduces the putback and the pick functions.
Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users?
Hello, this is Robert, and in this video I would like to demonstrate how cn.get, cn.peek, and cn.putback work. I've set up this little demonstration inside of a graphics program so that I can represent what's going on graphically. So, I set up a stream buffer here, and this is controlled by the operating system. And so when the user types letters on the keyboard, the operating system keeps track of which letters are typed using a stream buffer. And you can see that the characters are filled in from left to right in this example. And so let's say that the user types A first, so that would be stored right there, and then they type a B, and then they type a C on the keyboard, and then let's say they type return. Okay, so when our program starts up, let's say that these are the first few statements in our program. So we set aside memory for ch1, which is a char. There it is right there. Then we set aside memory for another char called ch2, and there it is right there. So when we reach this first cn.get statement, that will remove the first character from the buffer and store it at memory location ch1. So the A goes from the buffer into ch1. And then what happens is the next character to be read moves over to the next byte right there. So when we have the next statement, cn.get ch2, b will be read from the buffer and stored into ch2, and then the pointer for the stream buffer, the next item to be read, will move over to c. If this is the end of our program, then the c will be thrown out. Otherwise, if there was another cn.get statement in our program, then the c would be read. Okay, so it's stored for further input, regardless. And if the program terminates, then it's thrown away. Okay, so let's reset our program so that the user has typed A first, and then B second, and then C. So the first thing to be read will be A. But let's change our program. We're not going to be using just simply get anymore. Let's use a combination of several statements. Okay, so we still set aside ch1 and ch2 right there. But the first statement to be executed is cn.peak. Okay, so peak is very similar to get, except that it will not move the pointer over to read the next item. Remember that that's what we did with get. With peak, we still will read the character from the buffer into ch1, and so we'll grab the A, but this time it's not removed from the stream buffer. So we did make a copy of the A to store it in ch1, but we didn't move over to read the B next. Okay, so with peak, we are still going to read the memory from the buffer. So the A went from the buffer up to ch1, but then the pointer stayed at A. So A was not removed from the buffer, and it will be the next thing to be read. Incidentally, notice that cn.peak uses a different style. With get, we have the character to be read inside of the parentheses right there. With peak, we can't do that. With peak, we have to use an assignment statement and actually store it to the left side of that assignment statement. You're not allowed to put any characters inside of the parentheses with peak. You'll get a syntax error. Okay. Now that we have peaked and we've loaded the first character into ch1, now we will move on to the next statement right here. And so cn.get ch2. Well, the pointer is pointing at A right there, so the A will move into ch2. And then the pointer will move over to read B, right? Because that's how get works. It moves the pointer over to read the next thing. All right. Putback is sort of the opposite of get. And I've just placed a D in here just because it was something different. I could put back ch1, and then that would place an A back in the buffer because that's what ch1 contains. But you're not limited to the thing that you just read. So I just wanted to make that point. I could put back ch2, which would also put back the A, but you can put back into the stream buffer anything you want. So let's go ahead and put back the letter D. So since put back works the same way as get, only in reverse, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the pointer back over to the first location in the stream buffer, or the previous location in the stream buffer. And then what we'll do is we will place a D right there in the stream buffer. So we put back a D. So that's how putback works. It's the opposite of get. Remember that get will remove the character from the stream and then move the pointer over. Well, putback is the opposite. So we move the pointer back over to the previous location, and then we store whatever single character we want in that location. And in this example, I'm just putting back
So the contents of this slide is from that video, and you can copy the code, or you can download the CPP file from this link, and you can practice how to use the get function, the pick function, and the putback function. And let's take a break for 10 minutes.
D.
Hello. Let's continue our class. And I will explain assignment 5. And the due date of assignment 5 is 3 weeks later. And this assignment is to design a leaderboard. A leaderboard means we need to keep tracks the top 5 scores of a game. And this leaderboard system support four commands. And the 4 commands are add, delete, show, and exit. And let's see an example. In the beginning, the program will output this line, and then the user can execute one of the 4 commands. Suppose the user want to execute the add command. Then after the add command, the user need to input 1 number and 1 string. The number denotes the score for this user for these people. Then after this add command, we can input another command. If after the add command you input exit, then the program terminates immediately. But you can choose to continue add another score. So in the next line, the user input another add command, and he use add to add the score of 20 to the person wrong. And after the second add, he chooses to add another score of 45 to the person Granger. And then we can choose to print the current leaderboard. So we can use show. We can type this command show to print the current leaderboard. So the current leaderboard are so this is the output of the program. The program outputs the top 5 scores. And initially this leaderboard consists of 5 items. And initially each item has score 0, and the name of each score is anonymous. So initially the list has 5 items, and each item is of score 0 and with the name anonymous. So if you can download the code template. You can download a code template and execute the program. And for example, you can type show to print the leaderboard. And initially, the leaderboard has 5 items, and the score of each item is 0. And the name is anonymous. And you need to implement the add function and the delete function. The show function and the exit function have already been implemented in the code template. So you don't need to implement the show and the exit, but you need to implement the add function and the delete function. And when you implement the add function, you need to modify the leaderboard. You need to update the top 5 scores. The rules is specified in this. The rule is specified in this item. And the add command takes a score and a name from the user. The add command takes the score first and then the name. And this assignment assumes the score is between 1 and 99. And if the input score is greater than any of the top 5 scores, then this score is need to be added to the list. And also the lowest score in the leaderboard need to be discarded. And if the input score is equal to or less than the top 5 scores, then this score is discarded, and the list will remain unchanged. So after if I print show, 50 will be the number 1 because 50 is the largest score. And after the show command, if I use the add command to add a score of 30 and with the name Malfoy, then I use the show command again to print the leaderboard. Then this item will be inserted after grandeur, but before the row, because the score 30 is less than 45, but larger than 20. So after this add command, the score of 30 will be inserted between grandeur and the row. And another command that we need to implement is the delete command. And the delete command takes the item number we want to delete. Suppose I want to delete the first item, so I input delete space 1. And this space will delete the first item. So after the delete command, if we print the leaderboard, then the leaderboard will become this one. Pattern is removed because I use delete 1 to remove the first item. And know that after I delete the first item, and one item is added to the end of this leaderboard. The score 0 with the name anonymous is added at the end of this leaderboard. And when you want to exit this system, you can type exit, and the program terminates. So for this assignment, you need to implement the add command and implement the delete command. And I also provide the code template. You can download this code template. And let's take a look of the code template. First, I define two data types. I use type def to define type alias. So I use score VEC to denote VEC, a vector of integers. I use name VEC to denote a vector of string. And the score VEC is used to store the top 5 scores, and the name VEC is used to store the names corresponding to the top 5 scores. So first, I declare scores and declare names, and then we need to initialize scores and names. And you can see the definition of this function. For this function, the inputs are scores and names. And I use call by reference because we need to modify the value of scores and names in the definition. So I use call by reference. And I use a for loop to add 5 items. So in this assignment, the number of scores, the number of scores is named constant, and this value is set to 5, because the leaderboard has 5 items. So this constant is set to 5. And I use a for loop to push back 5 scores and push back 5 names. And initially, the value of each score is 0, and initially, the initial value of each name is anonymous. So I use this for loop to initialize scores and names. And then I declare a variable command. Command is a C++ string. And then I use cin to read user input and save the user input in command. If the command is if the user input equals exit, then the program terminates. If command equals exit, then we will not enter the while loop, and then we will go to return 0, and the program finishes. But if the command is not exit, we will enter the for loop, and this if statement check whether command is add. If command is equal to add, the add string, if command is equal to the add string, then the program will let the user input 1 score and 1 name. If the user input the add command, then the program will use cin to read 1 number and 1 C++ string, and save the number in score, save the C++ string in name. And then after the user input, the program will call the add item function. So you need to go to the add item function. So we go to the add item function. The input is the new score and the new name. New score and new name are input by the user, and the 2 inputs are the third and the fourth input are the scores and the names of the leaderboard. You need to determine whether you want to update the leaderboard. If the new score is equal to or not or less than the lowest score in the leaderboard, then you don't need to update. Then you don't need to update the leaderboard. But if the new score is greater than the lowest score in the leaderboard, and then you need to update the leaderboard. So the first task of this assignment is to implement the add function. After the add function, you can, for example, you can show the leaderboard first. You can show the leaderboard first, and after you implement the add function, you can try add. You can add some score and name. And then show the leaderboard. Because I have not implemented the add function, so the leaderboard is not updated. Because I did not implement the add item. After you implement the add item function, you can use show to check the result. And then if the input command is not add, then the next else if check whether the input is the input command is the delete command. If the input command is delete is del, if the input command is del, then the program will read a number from the user and save the number in item number. And then the program will call the remove item function. So let's go to the definition of the remove item function. The definition of the remove item function is here. And you need to update the leaderboard. You need to update the scores and the names according to the input item number. So you need to implement the remove item function. And let's return to the main function. If the command is the show function, then the program calls the display item function. And the display item function simply shows the leaderboard. So the display items function use a for loop to print the values in names and in scores. And I also use set W, which means set with for alignment. And if the command is not the four commands, then the program will print output will print unknown command, and let the user input the command again. So the program will terminate only if the user input exit. So for example, you type REL. REL is unknown command. So the program will continue and let you enter another command. And if you want to exit this program, you need to enter exit. So for this assignment, you only need to implement the two functions, add item and remove item, and do not modify other functions unless you know what you are doing. And I also provide a lot of input-output samples, so you can test your program after you implement the two functions. For example, after you implement the add item, you can use the four samples to test your add item function. For example, you can copy the input and you can paste the input, then print, and then execute show command to see the leaderboard, to see whether the leaderboard are consistent with the output. The output in this example. And I also provide more example for the add and the delete function. So after you implement the delete function, you can test, for example, sample file. Sample file is very easy. The sample file only has one command, delete one. Many students' program does not pass this example, does not pass this sample. So after you implement the delete function, you can test this simple example to see whether your program outputs are correct or not. And I have some suggestions. The first one is to use the functions defined in the vector library to implement the add item and the remove item function. And you can refer to the slides. And I also suggest to test all the input-output samples before sending your solution. And let's return to the slides. And we have introduced the characters inputs and the outputs. Below is one example. This example is from the textbook, and I will skip this one. And in the textbook, there are some exercises for you to do self-test. This self-test exercise is from the textbook. This self-test exercise is about character input. And first, we declare a character, ch, and I also declare an integer variable, count. the initial value of count is 0, and then I use cin点 dot get to read a character and save the character in ch. And below is a while loop. This while loop check whether the ch is equal to the line break. If ch is not line break, then we will enter the while loop and execute the if statement. And this statement check whether the count variable is odd or is even. If this variable is even, then this expression will be true. The value yielded by this expression will be true. And so if count is even, then the console will output ch. But if count is odd, then the console will not output ch. And after the if statement, we add 1 to the count variable. So in each iteration of the while loop, count will be increased by 1. And then we use cin.get to update ch. And then we check whether ch is equal to the line break. And let's see one example of this program. For example, I enter 0 space 1 space 2 space. I enter this line. And then what is the output of this program? What is the output of this program? And the output of this program will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And let's see why this program outputs. Let's see why this program has such output. And I made a table. The first row is the input. The first row is the input character, while the second row is the value of count corresponding to each character. So for the first iteration, the user input 0, and the initial value of count is 0. So for the first iteration, count is 0. Then for the second iteration, ch is the space. Ch is the space, and the count is increased by 1. So the value of count is 1. And in the next iteration, the user input 1, so the ch becomes 1, and the corresponding count is 2. And the program will output ch corresponding to count is even. So when count is even, I highlight the numbers when count is even. And therefore, the program will output ch which are highlighted in the yellow color, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, space, and 1. And we can also, this is the first self-test exercise. And the next self-test exercise is similar to the previous one. The only difference is that we replace the only difference is that we replace cin.get. We will replace cin.get with cin shift ch. We will replace cin.get with cin shift ch. And let's see the output, and the remaining statements are the same. And let's see the output. Let's see one example. And suppose the user input is the same. The user input is the same as the one in self-test exercise 17. And but the program outputs are different. The program outputs are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 1. And let's see how to compute the program outputs. And we also made a table. And the first row is the input characters. So the first row denotes the input characters, which are 0 space 1 space 2 space, and so on. And the second row is the value of count. For the corresponding character. And for this exercise, we know that the space has no corresponding count. While in the previous example, the space has a corresponding count. Because in this exercise, cin will skip white space. Cin will skip white space. So in this example, in this exercise, the white space has no corresponding count. So if the input is space, the corresponding count is empty. And again, this program prints the input character ch when count is even. So we need to find when count is even. And I highlight the case when count is even. And this program will output the character ch with the yellow background color. So the program outputs 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 1. You can copy this example to online IDE and try different input. and I copy the input of this exercise, and I paste this line, and I press enter. You will see the output. The output is 0, 2, 4, and so on. But we know that this program will not terminate. This loop is infinite because CH will never be the line break, because Cin does not read the line break, so CH will never be the line break, and therefore this is an infinite loop. So this program will not terminate. This program will not terminate. To terminate this program, you need to type Control-C to interrupt this program. But the previous exercise, this exercise this exercise can be terminated because Cin.get can read the line break. So when the user input line break, CH will be the line break, and in this case the while loop terminates. And at the end of these slides are some questions and answers. The first question, this is to review the contents of this slide. The first question is how many characters are in each of the following constants? Let's see. For the first constant, this is a single character because it is use a single quote, so this is a single character. So the first one has one character, and the second one is different because this is a C string. It is enclosed by double quotes. So the second question is C string, and we know that the C string, the ending character is the null character. So this C string will has two characters. So for this string, the second string will have two characters. You can, if you are not sure of the answer, you can print the size of the C string. So I print the size of the double quote \n. This C string has 2 bytes because one is for the line break and the other one is for the null character. But if you change the double quote to single quote, then the answer is 1. Then the answer is 1 because this is a single character. And for the third string, this string has 5 characters, Mary plus the null character. So the third string has 5 characters, and the fourth string has 6 characters. You can also try to print the size of the string. So for this C string, the size is 6. And you can also try. For example, if you add the \0, and what is the size? What is the size of this of this string? The size is 7. The size is 7. And you can also try to print the string length. I print the size of the CSTR, which is 6, because we need to include the null character. And the string length is 5, because this string has 5 characters. But if you change this \n to \0, the answer of strlen will be changed. The string length is 4 because if you see the implementation of strlen, if you see the implementation, if you see the implementation of strlen, this function will return the number of characters before the null character. And in this example, before the null character, and there are 4 characters. So the value returned by strlen is 4. You can try other example. For example, and we convert the C string to a CPP string, and we print the size of the CPP string. You see that the size of CPP string is also 4. But if you change the value of the C string, so according to this example, the returning value of strlen and the size function are the same. The return values of strlen and the size are the same. The second question is, Below are three declarations of C strings, and three declarations for character arrays, and which of the following are equivalent? Equivalent means the values of the character array are the same. str1 and str2 are equivalent because both str1 and str2 have 6 characters, but str3 only has 5 characters. So for this question, str1 and str2 are equivalent. And let's see the third question. This question is the same as the previous one, but in question 2 we do not specify the array size. But in this example we specify the array size. And which of the following are equivalent? The answer is the following three declarations are the same. So str1, str2, and str3 are the same because their size are all 10. The size of the 3 character arrays are the same, which is 10. And their values are also the same because for this declaration, only 5 characters are assigned, and the remaining 5 characters will be set to 0, and the 0 is the same as the null character. So str3 is the same as str2, and the str2 is the same as str1. And for this question, str1, str2, and str3 are the same. This question is from self-test exercise 1 in the textbook. But the answer of the textbook is wrong. The answer provided by the textbook is wrong. And you can write a simple program to verify which answer is correct. And the last question is which of the following are equivalent? str1, str2, str4, str5, str6 are equivalent. You can verify that str1, 2, 4, 5, 6 are equivalent, and also str7, str8, and str9. The three character arrays are equivalent. And the time is up. Let's end our class.